Are we live?
We are live.
Happy New Year! I've got my alien-themed New Year's mug. Oh, and my computer laptop's turned up and we're hearing an ad. Happy New Year! I've got some PG tips here. Absolutely lovely. Yeah, God bless it. I hope you had an amazing holiday season. You have to excuse my voice. You probably noticed from the other day's video, I've got the lurgy, as we like to say. So my voice is like completely shot. So hopefully this will be, you'll understand me. For those of you that can't understand me anyway, I will try and speak slower. Probably I'm forced to. How are you? Happy New Year. Who have we got on here? We've got Alexander, Chris, Christian, Daniel, Kian, otherwise known as Sparky, Darko, Dan, Tom, Scott, Sergio, Mitchell, Anita, hello Anita, Dave, Doug, Tom, Kian, oh, already said that, tons of people. How are you all? Rich, how is everybody? Are you doing marvellously well? This is very exciting. Yes, we've opened this up to people outside of the Academy as well. So, although it's still unlisted, I'm sure somebody's going to do that now. Somebody being Eric. So it will be available to everybody any minute now. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Adrian Wagner, you're not here. Are you a Wagner or a Wagner? I don't know which side of the ocean you're on. So, great New Year. Paul says he's here as well. Yes, I know it's unlisted. It's still unlisted. And it shouldn't be now. Hey, we got a dislike. Woohoo! There's somebody that follows us only to dislike us. Thank you. I know we're doing something right. Would you like to feed the posted on the Facebook to promote it? Yeah, we could do that if you like, but says it's still private. It should be, no, I think it's going public now. Hey everybody, so this is rather wonderful. So what we do every week is we get Academy members mixes, and my hair's looking particularly specially bad today, so I hope you enjoy that. Please leave the usual comments about my hair and not the music. I'm just kidding. Yes, and so this is what we do. Every single Friday we have a Feedback Friday. And it usually goes on for about 2 hours. You know, hour and a half to 2 hours. Sometimes we've had some marathon ones that have gone on for 3 hours. We had one of those a few weeks ago. And we listen to mixes and we critique them and we discuss them. And the Academy members, which are all in the chat, sit there and listen and discuss. And it's rather wonderful. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and do that. We're going to listen to... Now, those of you that are not Academy members will know this song. It's the Mary Spender track that we recorded at Thomann. And it was a lot of fun. It was during the summer of last year in Bavaria, where Thomann is based. Really beautiful area. And we had 2 hours, start to finish. So 2 hours included setting up the studio. So we had this tour, and I think, you know, we got there maybe 5 minutes after the allotted time and had to get out 5 minutes before. So it was 1 hour, 50 minutes of setting up a studio, setting up equipment, miking it all, getting tones and recording it. So my hat's off to the Thomann staff guy who helped us out. Thank you ever so much for helping get everything set up. Great work, obviously, Simon, who played drums from Thomann. Mary, of course, wrote a beautiful song, great vocals. This is a live vocal, and we did a couple of extra takes and then comped into it. And then, of course, Jamie Lewis on bass. And so... let's check it out. This is Rich V's version of the track. And you'll see me moving from here to here. Eric, have you got me?
Yeah.
And I'll try and give Eric some cues when I'm now back. And you'll see me move around. So what happens is I have headphones that I use. And in fact, these aren't the right ones. Excuse me a second. Well, in fact, we're going to move around. We might try different headphones, but at the moment, we've still got the blues, but we've been trying out these new Odysseys. as well. I feel like I need to wear my wig to be truly festive for the new year. But anyway, I'm going to start with the headphones. And first up is Rich Z with Mary Spencer's Someone Better. Here we go.
Some might say I overshare, like a winter love affair. I was excited, I was wrong. Did you know it wouldn't last long? Someone better, better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. I guess I should end this one. I secretly hope that she hears this. Does she know you were fearless? You jumped right in, met me there. When did she make you so scared? Someone better, better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. Ooh, someone better, better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. It must have driven her insane to see you happier. When did I sign up for this game so triangular? You, me, her, running back and forth, the rules all hurt. Who came off worse? She drove me insane. You drove me insane. Someone better, better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. Ooh, someone better, better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. Someone better, better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. I guess I should end this one.
Pretty darn good. Pretty darn good. I really like it. So there's a few comments I've been seeing them go up, which I would agree with. I think the snare brushwork is on the verge. I wouldn't say it's that excessively loud. A few people have said it's loud. I mean, somewhat. It's definitely, you know, it feels like it's just fighting with the vocal a little bit too much, just poking its head out. That's something that's quite important. I feel like on a song like this, even though it's you know, organic, you know, it's a live drummer, you know, live bass, the whole section was done live and the main vocal is cut live with just a few sort of punch-ins comped together. So the reality is it's, you know, there's a little bit of wrongness, which is okay. I would say in general, the vocal could come up like a gnat. Like I would bring down the snare like 0.7, like about a dB, and bring the vocal up about a dB. And what will happen, that will end up, remember, when you've got two mid-range pieces like fighting each other, bringing one up slightly and bringing another one down slightly actually creates quite a big gulp. So we're up to nearly, you know, 1.5 or 2 dB worth of difference now between the vocal and the snare. So that's what I would do. I would just bring the brushwork down slightly and bring the lead vocal up a little bit. But I think the biggest issue, and I think a lot of people are picking up on it, remember, this is a really good mix. I mean, generally speaking, it's super balanced, is the fact that I'm not really sure what's going on between the kick and the bass. I'm feeling the bass and I'm feeling the kick. I'm getting some of the articulation of the bass, but I'm not quite getting, you know, that what I want to hear, some of the sort of fingers and stuff. So the fingers area on a bass is usually about 3K-ish, and not just like a tiny spike, just kind of go to 3K and give us just like a little boost, even if it's just a dB around about 3K, just see if you can hear the fingers a little bit. And then just a little bit stronger on the high pass slope, you know, on the bass guitar. So I tend to go as high as 50 or 60 and then just get that slope. Maybe if your slope is like this, Rich, maybe just bring it so it's just a little bit more aggressive. And then I'm hearing the thump of the kick, and it's audibly loud, but I don't. It's all just I don't know that it's there. So you've got to come along and find a little bit of snap on it somewhere. Just a bit of snap that just, you know, and again, it can start at about 2.5. With a kick like this, you could maybe do 1.5 because it's more like a knocking sound. So maybe 1.5, a little bit of that, or a little bit of 2.5. You don't really want to do 7 or 8K and go death metal on it, but something that allows us to know that the kick is there. So it's always a catch-22 because, you know, if you listen, the kick is loud. And I mean, look, even looking, not that we should, it's irrelevant, but if you look at the wave files, every kick is... It's nice, and I like it. And in sections like that where she's not singing, it's perfectly cool. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that loud. It needs just a little bit of point on it, just a little bit, so we know it's there. It's amazing. You can actually turn down a kick ever so slightly and put, you know, bring it down like half a dB, but put some slap on it, and it's suddenly, you know, some spank on it, and it will suddenly feel like, oh, that kick drum it has been turned up, because your ear is drawn to those high mids. But otherwise, a really, really fantastic mix. Really, really cool. Excellent. Great work. So did you get hold of Matt?
Yes.
So we're going to give away some memberships to the Academy. For those of you that aren't members, you can join. And if you are a member, you can get a free year. Also, if you don't want a free year and you're already lifetime members, which many of you are, many people here watching are lifetime members, you can pick any course you want from ProMix Academy as well. So it's a win-win. So I'm going to review another mix and then we'll do a giveaway. Okay, so next up is Charos. Oh, by the way, Eric, you forgot to do something for me.
The descriptions, huh?
Yeah.
Yes. Do you want me to quickly do that?
Yes, but can you do them on another computer or something so I don't have to stop? All right, so Charos is up next. Normally we have the descriptions and we will read them, and Eric will get that organised now. But Charos is next with the Gallery's song White Noise Town. This is, just so you know, the Someone Better is available for those of you that aren't Academy members to download. So can you put that link in as well, young Eric? So you can download that. Also, to be honest, actually, probably the best solution, because White Noise Town is also another one of those, is to go to the video that we did 2 days ago, because on New Year's Day, we did a video with a link to every single thing that we did this year. So all of the free multi-tracks, of which there was a multitude. So if you haven't already downloaded all the free multi-tracks, whether you're an Academy member or not, there's a link, and Eric will put that up for you. Please hit the like button, and let's have a listen to Charos's version of the Gallery's White Noise Town. The Gallery are a little bit sort of Tom Petty for the 21st century. It's a Tom Petty for the 21st century, if that makes sense. They're a fine bunch of lads from Boston. Here we go.
In a
Excellent. It's a really cool mix. I would say I actually love the snare. I know Frozen Colours said that they didn't like the snare. I like it. I think it's in very good keeping with the song. I think stylistically, this is one of the interesting discussions we can have is like, you know, what people do and don't like about drum sounds. I like that snare because it keeps the integrity of a band that obviously likes Tom Petty. You hear a bit of the bottom snare. It's tubby. You know, Shelley Yakos, a good friend of ours, you know, definitely talks about those kind of drum sounds all the time. And created some of the, you know, and obviously on Refugee and the whole of Damn the Torpedoes is such an incredible record that he recorded and mixed. So I think it keeps the integrity and I like it. But obviously if you want to download these files for yourself, you can mix them the way that you want to hear it, and you can make it a bit more modern and snappy and a little thinner maybe, because, you know, talking about having too much body and too thick, to me that's what makes the song, makes it work in the song. But again, it's a matter of taste. And, you know, there's a million different ways of doing it. I think everybody is talking very similarly, and we're all coming to the same conclusion that sonically it's really good. There's some really, really great sounds going on. The problem is there's a complete lack of dynamics. It's once it comes in here. So it comes in there, and then we'll go to the end of the song where it's supposed to be at its loudest. Middle here. There's just there's a lot of levels of compression going on. I think particularly the guitars that feel a little like they're being sucked back a little bit. Now, this could be as simple as, you know, depending on where all the individual levels of compression are going on. If you've got guitar bussing going on and a lot of very aggressive compression there, then that might just need to be backed off a little bit so that it can open up to the master bus. But it does feel like and appear like the master bus is being hit really super aggressively, in which case you need to back that off a little bit as well. So it's really just kind of making it so all of those things don't just equate to end up with everything just being one loud, continuous blob of sound. So I think, Charos, everything sonically is good. I don't hear like excessive amounts of low end here and there, maybe a little bit on the kick, maybe a little bit of fine tuning. Some of the low lows, make sure there's no 20 on that kick that's kind of blowing up a bit. But ultimately, I think it's more about balances here. It's about not hitting into compression quite so hard, leaving a little bit more headroom on the master bus so that when the choruses come in, you can get that left and right guitar super wide and loud. Because at the moment the guitars come in, you know there's more guitars coming in, but it just adds to an overall thickness, doesn't make it feel like it's uplifting. So I think this is watching all the compression all the way going up to the master bus, including the master bus, and then allowing yourself enough room that you can start pushing things and creating more dynamics. Because it's a good mix in the sense that sonically everything works well together, it's more now about less compression and more dynamic control, which is going to mean more volume automation, bringing down the verses a bit, letting the choruses get fuller and get them bigger. But it's a great mix because you have to think about it in terms of sonically, some of the compression stuff is done really, really well. It's just overly aggressive. And all of the EQ moves make sense. Nothing is like ripping my head off. Nothing sounds massively out of place. There's not too much excessive low end, which is usually what happens. We're either dealing with mixes with too much low end or so much high passing done that there's no low end. It's like trying to find that right balance of letting the low end breathe. And the low end's pretty darn good on this, which is what most of the time we find that people struggle with is that. So great work. Do we have Charles's notes?
I'll have to set it up on that computer in front of you, so I'll have it for the next song.
How can you have it so I can see it?
On that one.
Okay. All right, so next up is Richard Clark. We're gonna do a giveaway, so please hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. That would be absolutely fantastic. But we're gonna give away a 1-year membership to the Academy. And most of the people sitting here talking at the moment are Academy members, which is absolutely amazing. And this kind of discussion that goes on all the time when we do our Feedback Fridays. It also goes on inside the Academy where people help each other out. It's absolutely incredible. 3 cheers for everybody in the Academy. Give yourself a big cheer. I think the question that I would like to know is, for those of you that are new or coming back or in the middle of their learning, I'm always learning, we're always growing. What is the number one thing that you want to learn about EQing? Is there anything that you're having trouble with EQing? And we're just going to pick somebody at random. I want to know all about it. So please let us know. What is the one EQ thing that you want to know? Just, is it a vocal issue? Is it EQing drums? What is it that you're having the biggest trouble with? Let us know here in the discussion, and we will randomly pick one of you and give you a 1 year's membership to the Academy. And if you're already a member of the Academy, of course, you can extend it for another year. If you're a lifetime member, you can get any course that you want from ProMix Academy. So it's a win-win for everybody. So please let us know, what is the one thing that you really want to know about EQing? And please remember to hit the like button as well. That would be absolutely fantastic. So I see there's 551 people watching. Please hit that like button as well. That would be absolutely amazing. And next up we have Richard Clark. And Richard's, now this is a great song. This is a band called We Were Astronauts. And the song was called Keep It Together. High pass filter and percussion EQ, EQ on vocals, side chaining EQ, EQing strings to get a distinct bass tone. Vocal EQ, a lot of that. Bass guitar, says Tom. Double track guitars, EQ separately or together. This is great stuff. This is the stuff we talk about every week. And you'll probably get some of this stuff answered as we go through this. Finding nasty frequencies without getting rid of all the good stuff. Yes, that's a particularly prevalent one. Vocal EQ, live drum EQ, drums, low end, mixed bus. How to EQ Warren. You can EQ my hair. I'm actually getting a haircut this afternoon. So next time you all see me, it will look pretty for at least a couple of weeks before it turns back into the horrendous mess that it is now. And EQing poorly recorded elements such as drums. Yeah, that's where you have to get aggressive. Nasally guy, what can I do with the EQ to help? Nasal stuff is usually about the 650, 700. That's really where it can be really horrible. You just got to be careful not to pull out too much. You might use the characteristic. It's finding that balance. That's where a dynamic EQ would probably come in, where you just get super nasally for some notes and then other notes. You know, that's what I would do, use a dynamic EQ. All right. So Richard Clark, We Were Astronauts, great band, also from Boston, completely coincidentally. I don't know why suddenly I've got 2 bands from Boston, and this is a great, great song. They remind me, well, have a listen, see who they remind you of. Here we go. a really nice mix. Really nice mix. Interesting how different it is to the last one, where it's a lot more open and there's a lot more room for, you know, instruments to come and go. But it is highlighting one of the most, the biggest things I hear is definitely the volume differences. Like there's moments where I'm just like, there's new guitar coming in. Have a listen here.
Let's set this place on fire. Gotta keep it together. Gotta keep it together. Whoa, oh, oh.
Like I love that. I love that lead part there.
Let's set this place on fire and watch it burn.
That there, though, the guitars, I'm not quite sure what's going on. There's like a guitar that's sort of over the vocal. Should it be panned left and right? It's a little indecisive. I mean, again, EQ and compression-wise, there's some nice stuff going on. Nothing's too harsh. I'm hearing definition on everything. Maybe the kick itself could have a little bit more low lows, a little less kind of tubbiness around about 100, 110. It's sort of fighting with the low end of the bass. So I'd probably go down to 60 and boost a bit more of that. Tying it up at about 20 hertz though, so it's not too floppy down there. And then in that 80 to 110 area, just cut it ever so slightly because it's starting to get woo, 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 woo. It's interesting, in the Academy, somebody posted an EQ chart that I was looking at this morning, and they were talking about, like, you know, some of the thick area of the kick drum being right where the bass guitar sits. And so one of these sort of misconceptions, I think, with you know, a lot of those kind of EQ charts, for most modern music, you want somewhere between 40 and 60 hertz is like really where your kick drum, your bass drum is going to live. Maybe as high as 70. So you could go like 40 to 70. That is where in 99.9% of modern rock music and even pop music to a certain extent, with the exception of an 808 sub, of course, is where the kick lives, where the bass drum lives. So if you start going like 100, 150, 200, like that EQ chart was doing, you're stomping all over everything in the low end of the bass guitar. That's where it gets built up, and that's a little bit excessive here. Just so we want to pull down like a little bit of that crossover area where the bass is sitting next to the kick drum. So I would pull out a little bit of 110, 100-ish, just dip it a little bit out of the kick drum, boost that 60 area with a fairly wide bell. So what you're doing is if you boost the 60 like this, it's bringing up 40 down here, which is nice, but it's also bringing up 80, which might be a little excessive. So you pull it up and then you just duck the 80 a little bit. So you get a nice kind of interesting shelf like this. You'll see what I mean. Just try it and it will really bring things to life. It's a big secret a lot of people don't tell you about. Is like they tighten up the kick drum, but they make sure they don't stomp on the bass. It's something that we talk about all the time, but I don't see anybody else talking about. Give it about 2 weeks and there'll be 15 videos talking about the same thing. But that's very, very important. When you're boosting a 60, remember you're also bringing up areas that are going to trounce the bass, so you have to cut them back down again. Okay, so maybe a little bit of definition on the kick could work as well. It's nice. It's mainly that kind of thumpy, thick thing in the kick that I don't like. It's not. What we're talking about here as well is like very, very subtle moves, like little tiny moves. I'm not saying like bring 5 dB up, 5 dB down. I'm just talking about readdressing balances. It's very, very close. And then I think the other thing in general is just different guitar parts and different things coming in. Get it left and right. Get it out of the way of the vocals as much as you can, especially in the choruses. And then just be mindful of parts coming in. You know, just increase that drama a little bit more. Now, don't get me wrong. Compared with the last mix, this is incredibly dynamic and very, very exciting. So really, really wonderful work. Great work. And if you haven't downloaded it in the Academy already, make sure to download that track. It's really a great song. Lovely, 610 people watching. Please hit that like button and share. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. We do live streams all the time. In the Academy, we do this every single week where we do these mixed breakdowns. Now, Eric has opened up the discussion here. So this is, oh, unfortunately you can't see it because you're not on the screen. Okay. All right. Anyway, so Rich Z says, this is my mix of Mary Spender's Something Better. He mixed it on a Harrison Mix Bus 32C and used a lot of Sound Toys little plate on the double guitar tracks with all EQ dynamics on instruments, onboard mix bus compressors and channel EQ. And he used an SSL bus compressor on the mix bus. Okay, so next up, let's go next is Cranky Emu. Oh, and there's no discussion. It's just a link to the thing. So we finally get the discussion up, and there's no discussion. Excuse me for coughing. It's the Gallery Dream Girl. Now, this is a song I wrote with the singer of the band. He and I wrote it. I think I play all the instruments. This is a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and it was a lot of fun. I think Phil Allen played... He may have played the drums on this, and I played all the guitars and basses and piano. Yeah, I think Phil played the drums on this. Phil Allen is an old friend of mine who won a Grammy for Adele, Someone Like You. Here we go.
She had green eyes and long brown hair, a pretty smile no girl compared. All the boys in town knew her name. I didn't mind when people stared. She was mine, not a single fear that she'd break my heart and walk away. She's a dream girl, but I know I'll never grow up if I never let go. I wonder how it could have been. Dream girl, if you give me one chance, I could follow through. I never wanted this to end. Wanted this to end. Wanted this. I heard the news today. She met a boy, I've been replaced. Times like these that you want him back. She don't like the life I live, but what's he got that I couldn't get? I was once the best he ever had. She's a dream girl, but I know I'll never grow up if I never let go. I wonder how it could have been. Dream girl, if you give me one chance, I could follow through. I never wanted this to end. If I was wrong, were you the one standing on your head? Get the chance to make amends. Get back what could have been. What you want is too far gone. We'll never love again. Time is telling us this is the end. Dream girl, I know you'll never grow up if I never let go. I wonder how it could have been. She's a dream girl, so I know I'll never grow up if I never let go. I wonder how it could have been. Dream girl, if you give me one chance, I could follow through. I never wanted this to end. Whoa, have been love. Whoa, whoa. What could have been, what should have been love. What could have been love.
Yay! Really great work. Okay, so there's just a couple of things overall. I think Jason picked up on something for me. It's the same band as, this is totally coincidental because I didn't pick these tracks. We have a lot more than just these 2 or 3 songs in the Academy. These are just the ones that Eric picked this week. But essentially, yeah, I want to have a little bit more body on the snare. Thanks, Jason. I agree with that. I think I would go down to, typically, I think Neve EQ. When I think classic drum sounds, I think of like AC/DC Highway to Hell or Back in Black. That tubby snare, like 220 on a Neve EQ. Great area to boost. That's really, really, really nice. You know, that's where 60 naturally falls on a 1073. I'm looking at a 1073 here. You've got 220, it's down below here, unfortunately, but 220 and, and 60 are just great areas to boost on a kick, and 220 on the snare. Now, you can obviously go down a little bit lower than that and boost it from the shelf, but yes, I think a little bit more body on the snare would be great. There's moments, especially early on, it's a little harsh on the vocal and everything's a little 3 to 5K crunchy, just a tiny bit. I don't know if I would encourage going in and cutting that. I think maybe just a bit of, dynamic EQ on the vocal a little bit. Let's have a listen to the front. Like there, the acoustic is just a little bit brash. Maybe just pull down a little bit of that high mid boost, just a touch. Relax the high passing ever so slightly.
She had green eyes and long brown hair.
Yeah, it's subtle stuff. That's what's great about it. We talk about this all the time. This is what we call a headphone mix. Now, in the process of mixing, our mix will do editing and stuff over here, but obviously the mixing is happening, Eric, over here. Hello, over here. So this is the ultimate seating position, obviously sitting upright. You've got the tweeters level with your ears, and God bless it, there you go. So you're sitting here, you're mixing. Everything's great. If I'm mixing hybrid, I'm using the console for EQ and compression. Was the camera not on?
Oh no, it was out of focus.
It was out of focus. Yay! I always look best out of focus anyway. Takes 10 years off me. Now I'm 12. Hey, put ching. So anyway, yes. So getting in the ultimate seating position where you have the tweeters at ear level, everything's fine. God bless it. So that sounds wonderful. Then I will. Once I'm happy with a mixing here, I'll then bounce it and go and sit on my laptop and have a listen using headphones. And that's what I call the headphone test. So moving back over here. So the headphone test to me is where we're at now. And if a song gets to the headphone test, it's a good idea. It's a good thing. And I think that's where Cranky is here. We're now talking about subtle things. Little moves, tiny things. Tom was mentioning maybe some automation here and there. I agree. A little bit of automation here and there would really, really help. I think that acoustic's a little low, but I wouldn't turn it up until I reduce the brightness of it. I would bring it up a little bit, add a bit more, tiny bit more body, and just a little bit more, little less high mids. Similarly with the vocal, I think a dynamic EQ on it would be really, really nice as well. So on the whole, a fantastic mix with just subtle things. And thank you ever so much, Cranky, for doing that, because it's great to hear a mix that I haven't heard in quite a long while. Okay, I'm going to do one more mix, and then after this mix, we're going to do another giveaway. Okay, so this is Michael Brayley and his version of Mary Spender's Someone Better. If you haven't downloaded a lot of these mixes, you can. It says learn more about Mary Spender and download the multi-tracks here. Okay, can you do a link that's the same link that was under Wednesday's email? Because that has the link to the page that has all of this year's multi-tracks on it.
Okay.
Okay, so Eric's going to put those up, and he'll also post them in the chat for those of you that haven't yet downloaded those multi-tracks. So please hit that like button, and... Oh, Michael Brayley, no comment either, just a link to it. All right, Michael, excited to hear it. Here we go.
Some might say I overshare, like a winter love affair. I was excited, I was wrong. Did you know it wouldn't last long? Someone better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. I guess I should end this one. I secretly hope that she hears this. Does she know you were fearless? You jumped right in, met me there. When did she make you so scared? Someone better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. Ooh, someone better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. It must have driven her insane to see you happier. When did I sign up for this game so triangular? You, me, her, running back and forth, the rules all her. Who came off worse? She drove me insane. You drove me insane. Someone better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. Ooh, someone better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. Someone better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. I guess I should end this one.
Good. Just making sure my mic was on there. Michael, absolutely fantastic. Really like it. So I think most people are picking up on the same things here. Anita? Yes, it's a little interesting with the guitar being narrowed down and made so mid-rangey, which is okay. It's got a kind of trashy mid-range sound. Have a listen to the beginning. I like it. I like that tone. One more time. It's great. I mean, it's really cool. I like it. But at the same time, it's nosy and it pokes its nose out pretty aggressively, meaning, as Anita was pointing out, you hear it's like your left ear is drawn to it all the time. It's sort of like listening like this, you know what I mean? It's hard because that's where our ears are most sensitive, in that kind of mid-range area. And when people sometimes say mixes are too bright, they're really talking about mid-range and high mids. as opposed to like super, super high end. Also, I think this is a great mix, don't get me wrong, but I want a bit more body on the guitar. And I think, as Anita is saying, I think if you bring down those high mids, it won't poke its head out quite so much. So just bring them down a little bit. But also, you know, I think what we did in the original mix is we put a very short, dirty slap of the guitar opposite so that there was a little bit of a balance, because there's only 3 elements: drums, bass, and an electric guitar. There's no overdubs whatsoever. So this is carried live. This is the performance of the musicians in the room on the day. We ran the song once, maybe twice. So miraculously well performed, incredible piece of work. So bear that in mind. Really, really fantastic musicianship here, and essentially a live vocal. So download the tracks, the link's down there. So if you're new and you're not an Academy member, or just go to that link that Eric's put down there and you can download all these multi-tracks we're talking about, particularly this one. So I think the other thing about it is, like, I agree, the brushes have a mid-range thickness to them, like pure mid-range, like 700 to like 1K kind of toughness to them, which I like, but is a little dominant. So it does tend to make my ear, like, it sort of nudges me in the head, like jabbing me. So I feel like I just want to bring that down and maybe pull out a little bit of 700 out of the brushes and just duck it ever so slightly. And then the last thing I think that lots of you were picking up on is that 7K kind of pss, 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 pss. It's a very high-end de-essing that needs to happen. Typically, de-essing that hits most people is the 3 to 5K area, especially about 5K. That's standard, rip your head off, ear-piercing stuff. It doesn't have so much of that. It does obviously have a little bit of it. What it has is this wispy 7, 8, 9, 10K. It's almost like they, you know, maybe Michael brightened the vocal quite excessively, which is okay, gone to like 10K and open it up on the top. But by doing that slope, maybe what happened is he brought up some of that 7, 8, which is getting a little bit out of control. So I would look maybe as low as 6, but 6, 7, 8. Get in that area there and do some sort of finessing on the de-essing. Finessing on the de-essing. How's that for a New Year's January the 3rd, 2020, new decade? All right, we're going to do another giveaway. So this is a giveaway to win a year's membership to the Academy. We do this every single week. And as I was saying to Raven, Real Raven 2000, next week, Eric, you make a note of this, we will do user submitted. So all Academy members and all new joining Academy members, please, so if you want to join the Academy, next week we will do user submitted mixes. We only pick 10, and they are picked at random. There's no favorites here. So user submitted mixes for next week. I'm looking at Eric. I'm watching him writing it down. I'm hoping that he writes it down in somewhere that he sees.
Oh, I deleted.
Eric! Ah! Anyway, so next up is Kurt Liberator. Kurt Liberator, and Kurt says that he mixed entirely in the box using mostly Waves plugins. He used the Renaissance plugins, the API, and tried out the new Abbey Road Saturator, some Golfos, and worked using SonarWorks. Created their own snare, kick and tom samples, Melodyne Easy Drummer. The supply of the tracks were fine, but I like to practice drum replacement. Did some modest creative editing on the drums and organ. Okay, great. And would appreciate some feedback. All right, so let's listen to Kurt's mix of The Gallery, White Noise Town again. Now I'm going to have another sip of coffee. And if you haven't already, please hit the like button. And what is our question going to be from membership while we're playing this? Okay, we talked about EQ. What about the obvious next step then? Compression. What is the number one thing that you want to know about compression? I've seen a lot of compression videos and they are I'll say very again, very confusing, particularly ones where they show what it looks like. The reality is like compression is not about making everything look like a blob. I know that there are a lot of video content and we look and we see and people point to it, and I get that. Unfortunately, that is not how music is made. If you make everything look like a same blob, it will all sound equally loud and just be a loud blob of loudness. Like that? Loud blob of loudness. So certain things that you want to adjust the attack and release so they cut, so you have like snap on it. Other things you may want to do the opposite. You might want to drag it back and use like a delayed effect so that the attack is absolutely removed, and then the opposite, and then the back end release blooms. There's all kinds of ways of using compression beyond, like, you know, watching videos where it just makes everything into a blob. So is that what you want to know about compression? What is the biggest thing that your challenge you have with compression? What instruments are you having challenges with compression? Is it vocals? Is it drums? Is it particular elements of drums? Is it bass guitar? Let us know what is your number one question that you want to know about compression. Please all answer. There's 613 people. One of you will win a year's membership. That's a pretty good chance, 1 in 618. And there's a lot of people here that are already Academy members. So please, what is the number one thing that you want to learn about compression? And then we're going to listen to, while you're answering, Kurt's song. Lovely. Thank you, Kurt. Firstly, I must say, I really appreciate everybody that takes the time to do this and submit mixes, because we learn. What is so wonderful about this Academy, and we have 3,200 and something members, is what is amazing about everybody in here is that you all help each other out. And just by spending the hours that it takes to do this, you are helping people, because we listen to this, we mix critique, and it helps you individually when it's your mix. Obviously, my mix is being critiqued by somebody. I'm like, I love it. I learn stuff. But most importantly, we all learn with each other. We take this information and we share it and we understand and grow from it. So I think I'm hearing lots of people talking about hearing the compression. I don't really hear the compression pump like everybody else's until the end. Here at the end. There, when that hit came in, everything folded in. So I just kind of went shush. Now, it's not happening as much early on. What is happening is, and look, half of me wants to applaud Kurt, because what Kurt's doing is he's trying to incorporate a lot of dynamics, so he's doing a lot of volume riding. However, it's really dramatic. So if you listen to, say, the middle of this intro and then go to the first verse. It's just too dramatic. I feel like I feel like the drama can just be done with guitar selection. So you have that down, 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 this part here. I still want to hear that that guitar can still be like driving the song. It's the ripping your head off lead part that, if it's just aggressive enough, is okay. So I think that I do love, and I want to applaud the effort and the idea of introducing this amount of dynamics. I think that's something we need to look at. Something we've talked about on the other songs is making sure that we're always doing volume automation so that the songs are hitting you consistently. That's really, really important. However, what is also happening here is it's just being done a little bit too excessively. I had a mastering engineer, who will remain nameless, who tried to introduce some additional dynamics, and we liked it in the room, and then we took it to other systems and it did the same thing. There was too much of a drop off in the verse than there should have been. But we went back and tweaked it and fixed it. But this is one of those situations where I do love the dynamics, but I want them to be a little bit more controlled. This sort of feels like it's kind of doing this, where I want it to maybe be a little bit stepped. You could have that ripping the head off lead, and then those beautiful chords need to come in and move the song along. So, but great work. I don't hear the compression issue. The pumping is, I don't think you guys are hearing maybe you think you're hearing the pumping, you're actually hearing volume rides. But near the end, definitely the pumping, because there's so much stuff coming in, it's starting to hit the compressor a bit too much and fold in. So that's another thing, you know, that you're pointing out, is that let's make sure that you don't hit that master bus quite so aggressively so that everything folds in together. Wonderful. Great, thanks Kurt for giving us that. I think what's very important is, though, again, EQ choices were good. It's a case of getting that bus compression right and getting the automation right. But I do want to applaud automation. A lot of people do zero automation to their mixes. They almost mix the first 10 seconds of a song and then print it. I've heard that a lot. I've heard that in a lot of mixes, so I do applaud the detail here. If you haven't hit like, please hit that like button and share. We'll do another giveaway in a moment. Who won that last one? Has it been announced?
Justin Price.
Justin Price. Congratulations, Justin Price. Great questions here on compression. Thank you ever so much. All right, next up is Tony Hall. And we're going to do another giveaway, don't worry. We'll do another giveaway. And Tony Hall, here's Tony. Tony says... Chat is moving at warp speed. I'm reading Eric's... Okay. Tony Hall says, the song sounds like a modern-day Beach Boys tune at times. Oh, great. I love this song. I co-wrote this song with the band, which was a lot of fun. The band's called Lovesick Radio. They're still going. Really, really great guys. Check them out. He said he had trouble getting some of the many mid-range instruments to balance. I think I've done a decent job. Thanks for the feedback. Now, this song was loosely based, in my mind, production. So any of you would know, a classic song from the 70s called In the Summertime by Mungo Jerry. In the Summertime. So see if you remember this track and see if you can hear where I got inspiration from that song to do this one. And I'm going to drink some more of my coffee. Here we go.
You can keep it or throw it away. Life is little and gone in a day. If there's a reason to do it today, there's only today. And I'm not afraid. Every day, in every way, no one's taking me out. And all I can say, it's gonna be okay. That there ain't no doubt. I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet. I'm giving it all I got. will kill it today. There's only today, and I'm not afraid. And every day, in every way, no one's taking me out, no, no. And all I can say is gonna be okay. There ain't no doubt. I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet. I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet. I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet. I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet. Oh, every day, in every way, no one's taking me down, no, no. And all I can say, it's gonna be okay. At least I'm here right now, giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, I'm giving it all I got. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet. No. No.
Yay! That's fun. So there's lots of fun things about this song. I agree, there's a lot of like mid-range instruments because it's almost entirely, there's nothing electronic in this whatsoever. And yes, it's very Mungo Jerry. It's, it's a live drum kit, it's acoustic guitars, mandolin, it's a piano, just an upright piano. It's very, very acoustic. It's supposed to be 70s retro-ish, a sort of poppy version of that. There was probably a little piece of us that also listened to like Hey Soul Sister as well, because this is about 6 years ago I think we did this song. So like a kind of a bit of Hey Soul Sister meets Mungo Jerry, like a modern version of Mungo Jerry. Okay, so the main things, and I think a lot of you are picking up on this, which is really, really great. I'm not a huge fan of the snare. It sounds like I'm just hearing the bottom snare and maybe even a sample going pff, pff, pff. Can you hear that? It's like, I like that element of the snare. I think it's a really important part of the snare, Tony, to have that pss, pss, pss. I love it. I just want it to be lower than the main crack. I get why you did it. It's almost like, for those of you that may or may not have heard the multi-tracks of like Killer Queen, for instance, quite a lot of those, Queen tracks, they put in like white noise going ch, 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 just to help the snare have a bit of brightness that you couldn't achieve from just EQing it. And so it has that kind of 70s artificial white noise added thing, so I get it, but I think that there should definitely be more of it. More of the main snare and less of that ducking underneath. Now the next thing I think a lot of people are picking up on this is it's super sort of crushes in on itself. So, and it's not just a visual thing. Obviously we can look at it visually and go, look at that. It's all a big blob, but sometimes music looks like that and still sounds dynamic because the elements inside of it are pieced together and allow lots of different stuff. Thank you, podcast stage. Podcastage. Oh wow, a super chat. Yeah, I hadn't thought about super chat. If you have any questions outside of it, you can use the super chat. It's been years since we've thought about that. Hey, the super chat. All right, I will keep doing what we're doing. I thank you ever so much. That means a lot. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I do like the splatty snare, but I want to hear a little bit more body. I totally understand what you're saying, but a little bit more body. Now, the next thing is yes, it's definitely folding up in the master bus. It's getting a little bit too much, particularly at the end here where more instruments come in. Have a listen.
'Cause I'm not dead yet, giving it all I got. Oh.
All of the low end has just disappeared from the mix. And what's happening is the low end is just hitting that master bus so much that there's probably, I don't know, anywhere, depending on and there could be bussing compression going on leading up to the master bus, but when it hits the master bus there, it's just folding in on itself quite dramatically. You know.
'Cause I'm not dead yet, giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, I'm giving it all I got. Oh, 'cause I'm not dead yet, I'm giving it all I.
Yeah, it's really pumping there. You know, there's little guitar parts that are coming and going. They're being squashed down a little bit. It's essentially what I would do is I'd make sure all of the bussing leading up, compression leading up to that needs to be a little bit more gentle, and there needs to be more headroom in the master bus to allow that to breathe a little bit more. That would be absolutely fantastic. If you can just open that up a bit more, it'd be really, really nice. I do think the low end, it's hard to tell what's going on because it is being hit so hard there that I don't know if the low end is so excessive that it's destroying it and it's pushed back in, which is what my gut is telling me. But I think that's the first thing, Tony, you've got to sort out, is just letting it breathe a bit more, opening it up. I mean, you can print a hotter mix. I mean, that's not that hot of a mix. I mean, so, you know, whatever the compression going on, is like raise your thresholds, let it breathe a little bit more, get an extra 2 to 3 dB less compression on it. You can have it 2 to 3 dB louder, and then I think you'll be able to make a lot more informed decisions. On the whole, I like where you're going. I like the idea of this being, you know, a sort of a bit of a freight train. The whole idea, it should just move the whole time. There's not a huge amount of instrumentation changes, but it's got a nice da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da sing-along aspect to it. All of those things you've preserved. However, you've got to open up that master bus and open up bussing leading up to that. All right, great work, Tony. Thank you. Again, thanks to everybody that does this and bears their soul and submits songs for us to critique, because it's a big deal, because we're all learning from this stuff. Okay, Christian is next with Jay Clifford's Paralyzed, and Christian said, hey everyone, did a remix of the superb Paralyzed production just using the Eternal Logic X plugins. Wow, greetings in Cologne. Hello there, Christian in Cologne. Beautiful part of the world, absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so yeah, that's great. So this is mixed in Logic, Christian said, using Logic X, so Logic 10 stock plugins. So this should be a lot of fun. A lot of people do this. In fact, sometimes we have weeks where people only mix using stock plugins. So quite a lot of fun. Here we go.
Changes time into a spineless car.
that lies are paralyzed. Yeah. I am wondering, falling out. I am wondering. Time changes time into a spineless curve. Turned on the dime, away from the worst reserve. Lost in my mind is a shallow reserve, but you got a lot to learn. Time changes time into a spineless curve. Turned on the dime, away from the worst reserve. Lost in my mind is a shallow reserve, but you got a lot. Time changes time into a spineless curve. Turned on the dime, away from the worst reserve. Lost in my mind is a shallow reserve, but you got a lot.
Excellent work, Christian. Really, really nice. Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. I would say ultimately, I had fun. I went over to the Gen X there. As you know, my main monitors that I've been using since the 90s are the 1032s and the 1031s, but the 1032s. I have the Calis, which are like the real world $300 powered speakers, and then of course I have the Focals, which are insane. The Trio 11s are just like super loud, tons of depth, really versatile speakers. But the Gen X I've known my whole life, and many of you in Europe will understand why. I mean, and out in LA, they were everywhere. So I really enjoyed the mix. It's almost a couple of things. Is like a lot of people were talking about two things. The bass is definitely pervasive. It's got a lot of low end. It's always there. It's very satisfying, but it does definitely feel like it's sucking the whole mix based on the performance. Based on the bass performance. Pudum-ching. So I bring the bass down a little bit where the mix is at the moment. That's the first thing I would do, is I bring the bass down a little bit, add a bit more nose to it, a bit more, so maybe a bit more 750, maybe a little tiny bit of 850, a bit of 1K, a bit of 1.5, just kind of get a little bit more, you know, woodiness out of it, kind of a bit more of this and a bit less low lows. That's the first thing I would do. Bring it down, but then emphasize some of the highs, some of those mid-range, pure mid-range areas. That will open up your mix quite a lot, because I feel like the bass is pumping the bus compression a little bit too hard. So once that's brought down, there's less low end going in there and a bit more of that mid-range, just a dB or two in those areas. I think that will completely drastically change how the mix is perceived. The second thing, and I saw a couple of people mentioning it, is maybe just bring down the clickiness on the kick ever so slightly. This is a good illustration of why clickiness is a good thing, because the clickiness allows us to define where we're hearing the kick. You know, that little snappiness on it, you know, it just allows you, if you can feel the kick hitting you here, and you can just hear a click, 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 just that is really, really nice. But as a couple of people pointed out, it's a little bit much at times. Only slightly. I'd bring a dB less of the high mid boost down. Just bring that down. Now, those two things, by bringing the bass down and by bringing that clickiness down, are going to really start changing things quite dramatically. There's a lot of information going on in that high mid area, but I don't know how much of that is being affected by the bass hitting the bus compression really hard. I do think the bus compression could come up like a dB up, so the threshold is just allowing a little bit more to breathe, and I think you'll find that that will make a massive difference. So I would try that as well. Wow, 608 people watching. This is amazing. So please, there's 447, 449 likes. This is incredible. We're going to do a special giveaway. We're going to do 4 giveaways. We've done 2. We're going to do a 3rd one, and we're going to finish on a 4th one. I said to Eric, who saw me talk off the headphones for a second, I'd like to give away the Mark Needham course. Now, Mark Needham, who's an amazing mixer, we did a course with him where he mixed one of Jay's songs, one of Jay Clifford's songs. It's a song called Know When to Walk Away. It was a song that the video, it was an indie hit. So it's a great opportunity. The video was done by Zach Braff, you know, from Scrubs and all that kind of good stuff. So Garden State and tons of other movies. So check that out. We can put a link to that course so you know which one I'm talking about. We'll put a link in there, but we're going to give it away. So to win a copy of that, we've talked about compression. You've seen what your biggest questions are, compression. Thank you ever so much for sharing. This is really important. But also, you know, I'd love to know, and we talked about EQ. I suppose I'd like to know, what is your, I want to save the big one till the end. But with so we've done compression, we've done EQ. What about multi-effects? What's the biggest question you have about delays and reverbs? What is the biggest question? There was somebody earlier, and I've forgotten who it was, made a note, and I forgot to point it out because it was a great, great point, talking about vocal EQ and how it would have been nice if the vocal EQ, it was on one of Mary Spender's mixes. It was about just low passing. That's a really important thing, and a lot of reverbs, you know, if it gets too much high end in the vocal, you can end up in the vocal reverb, you can end up with this pss, 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 and it's really difficult to listen to, and it takes away the definition of the vocal because there's so much high end splattering all over the place. So hence the Abbey Road technique, as it's known, where you wipe off the high end and low end and focus on the mid range. That's very particular in vocals, really, really important. What things like that in reverbs and delay? What's your number one question in reverb, in and delay? Please, everybody that asks the question gets entered in to win the Mark Needham course. Okay, fantastic. And it's great because it's the same musicians, it's the same everything as you just heard. So, and Mark's mix is fantastic, and it's entirely mixed in the box. So you can copy his mix. It's entirely mixed in the box. All right, next up is Alexi. And Alexi's versions of the Mary Spender, Someone Better. Talking of that song, Alexi's been an Academy member now with us for a year or two, couple of years, and lives in Finland. And is a wonderful guy, and he has a tendency to win lots of competitions. So, Alexi, you here? There he is. And Alexi says, yep, so remember to ask questions about reverb and delay, because this is your opportunity to win opportunity to win the Mark Needham course for free. And if you already own the Mark Needham course, still enter, and we'll give you a different prize, because we're like that. Here we go. Let's see what did Alexi say about this mix? He said, hello, wonderful plappers. This is my mix of Someone Better by Mary Spender. Okay, there you go.
Some might say I overshare, like a winter love affair. I was excited, I was wrong. Did you know it wouldn't last long? Someone better, better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. I guess I should end this one. secretly hope that she hears this. Does she know you were fearless? You jumped right in, met me there. When did she make you so scared? Someone better, better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. Ooh, someone better, better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. It must have driven her insane to see you happier. When did I sign up for this game so triangular? You, me, her, running back and forth, the rules all her. Who came off worse? She drove me insane. You drove me insane. Someone better, better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. Ooh, someone better, better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. Someone better, better come along. I'll be waiting. Someone better, worthy of a song. I guess I should end this one.
Very nice. Okay, so there's some great positives from this, Alex. I really, really enjoyed the lead vocal volume, but I think as quite a few people were pointing out, the background vocal's a little bit too buried. And it is a tasteful thing to have in there. The thing about the background vocal, as many of you know, is like it goes pretty much the whole song. So you could strategically use it. You could mute it and bring it in. You could have it only play at certain words. You could have it play just on the lead, on the choruses, for instance. That would be a really smart idea. But the background is there to help, and it's a pretty awesome tool. So essentially, the drums sound natural. I think a couple of people talked about maybe pushing the drums back a bit. I think a bit of verb on the drums would be nice, just a little bit. Just push it back ever so slightly. The lead vocal, like I said, is in a really good place, and tonally and sonically I really like it. But I want more background, even if you only use it strategically in the choruses, that could be good. But I think the main thing outside of that, outside of the drum sound, well, a little tiny bit of definition on the kick, a tiny bit more 60-40, just a nats, and some kind of point on it, so that I can just hear a little bit of snap, just a tiny, tiny amount. Obviously, I don't want it to be a metal kick, but just something that just gives me a little snap, just a tiny bit. The other thing is, I'm sure everybody's going to understand this, is the bass needs some kind of fingers. I'm sort of hearing it and I know it's there, but I'm not hearing the definition. And as you know, the sort of areas we like to pick up on are like 750, 850, 1K, 1.5, and a bit of 3K-ish, a nice wide one, is good for kind of getting the kind of, you know, that grit on the bass. And don't be afraid to maybe have a parallel distorted bass track, even if it's super quiet, mixed in there. You'd be amazed that sound will get soaked up in the mix. A little parallel distortion on it will get soaked up and you'll still be able to hear it defined inside of it. Great mix. So who won? We've got one more mix to go, and then we're going to do one more giveaway. We're going to do one more giveaway. Well, we might as well do it before we listen. The last mix is Ben Swicegood, and it's his version of the Gallery's White Noise Town. Don't forget, next week, Academy members, we're going to do Academy submissions. So that will be absolutely amazing. So you can submit your own song for next week's one. Eric, do you have the forum created for that? He's going to do it. He's going to create one where you can put your songs in there. And it's going to be picked at random. There's no favourites. It has to be done completely at random. And of course, if there's like 50 or 60 songs in there and we only feature 10, we can do it for the, another week as well. We've been talking about doing this on a regular basis, so here we go. New year, new ideas. Let's make it happen. So Ben says, Ben just submitted the song and he didn't say anything. So, absolutely fantastic. All right. So what's the last question? I suppose the last question is, first of all, there's 597 people. Wow, this is amazing. To have 600 people watching, incredible. Thank you ever so much. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do that, and share it is always wonderful. But I'd like to thank everybody in the Academy. This has been an incredible year. We're going to head into our, we're coming out, we'll be at year 3 in about a month or so. Absolutely amazing. Nearly 3 years of doing this. Incredible. February will be 3 years. Thank you to the lifetime members who've joined for life. Thank you everybody who's in there paid for 3 years and are going on to a 4th. Amazing. Ralph Dick, who may well be here, was our first member. And I remember he sent me an email to join, and I called him, and I believe he's in Australia. So I called him in Australia from my home phone. And I was like, congratulations, you're the first member. It was pretty exciting. And ever since then, we've now grown to 3,200 people who help each other out. It's really amazing. It's somewhat under the radar. We don't talk about it as much as other things, but it's a different kind of community for those of you that want to join. It's a community of people that care about each other and help each other. We try to keep all egos and, frankly, trolling out of there and just keep it to be about support. And we're very, very blessed to have so many amazing members, of which I can see so many of them talking here. So, yeah, it's really incredible. So if you want to join, please do. I'm sure there's a link under the video to join. Yeah. And those of you that have joined recently, thank you. I know there was a nice membership drive for Black Friday. We all know the Black Friday thing. So those of you that joined there, welcome. It's going to be a great year coming up. The content in there is just growing daily, obviously. One of the new things we've been doing is member submissions. Are we all up to date with member submissions? You got everybody up, have you, Eric? Member submission multi-tracks? There's a silence. That's not a good sign.
There's so much going on over here.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so what's happening is now inside of the Academy, when we highlight things and we really enjoy them, this could happen with your own submissions, is we encourage people to create their own video content, and it's really, really good. And so now we have members in the Academy actually creating video content for each other. It's insanely good. It's an incredible community. It's really unusual. It's not what you get from anywhere else, because we've built this community of people who care about each other. So if you're not a member already, please join up. And so my last question is, to get a 1 year's membership to the Academy, is this. And if you're already a member, of course, you'll get an additional year on it. And if you're a lifetime member, you can get a ProMix Academy course, any one that you want. My question is, I suppose, it's the new year, it's a new decade. And what is the #1 thing that you want to learn about recording and mixing music? Playing, performing, music. What is the most important music-related question that you have? Whatever's been burning, what's been keeping you awake at night? For me, I can think of quite a few things. I think it's about relationship building. It's all about creating strong relationships with people that are like-minded and that care about you. That's the thing that I have noticed from doing this, is like I bring in people that are all looking to help each other, that are not trying to be just out for themselves. So building those kind of long-lasting relationships is what's the most important thing in my life. Eric has been with us for how long now?
5 years.
5 years. Sam's been with us for 3.
Yeah.
Matt's been with us for 2. These are winners. These are people that we stick it out. There's ebbs and flows, and now we've had this Academy for 3 or 4 years, and it's just like really amazing. So please hit the like button, share, let us know what is the #1 thing in music in general, whether it be production, recording, writing, playing an instrument, promoting your music. What is the #1 thing that you want to work on this year? What is the #1 thing? And we will pick at random, and you will win either a year's membership, if you've already got a membership, an extended year, or any ProMix Academy course that you want. And last but no means least, Ben, the Gallery, White Noise Town.
Bring me back to the days of temporary tattoos and scraped knees. I'm lost in a dream. Can anybody out there hear my screams? 'Cause I've been yelling at the top of my lungs. Now I'm shooting out my loudest guns. If you could only hear the sound in this white noise town. I was born with my father's name, my mother's eyes, but we don't see the same. Get what they want, ain't what I need. Can anybody out there hear my screams? 'Cause I've been yelling at the top of my lungs. Now I'm shooting out my loudest guns. If you could only hear the sound in this white noise town. In this white noise town. No one hears us. I've been yelling at the top of my lungs. Now I'm shooting out my loudest guns. If you could only hear the sound in this white noise sound. Bring me back to the days, the temporary tattoos and straight knees.
A lot of information in that area. I think my main thing is, and I think a couple of people said it, it's just a kick is modern, and that's fine. I think a kick drum can sound modern, even in the most you know. Have you got my mic up?
You're off at the beginning, but you're back.
Okay. So I've completely lost my train of thought now. So I'm not sure where. I'll start from the beginning. Sorry. So the thing about it is that area in the 3 to 5K area can get really, really, you know, busy in there. It's where our ears are really super sensitive. It's not over the top. This happens a lot in a lot of the different mixes and stuff like that, where we listen loud and we listen for long periods of time, and it's just like that detail can just get a little bit kind of aggressive, and it just gets a little wearing. So what I would suggest really is like listening at lower levels, or maybe taking a break till the next day and recalling it. It's actually really, really detailed and a pretty darn good mix. I think sometimes overuse of saturation, because now there's so many great saturation plugins. Look, Waves released 3 brand new saturation plugins. But what's really happening, and it is really difficult, is that overuse of saturation means that now we're the first thing that seems to get really gritty, and all those second and third harmonics, is in that particular area, which can smooth things out. But at the same time, when used too much on too many instruments, just creates kind of a... This isn't like... Don't get me wrong, this isn't like 100 times too bad in that area. These are subtle things. But what I love about this, and we talk about the community, is we get to play mixes and learn and talk and critique and apply the information from this mix to others. So be careful in that 3 to 5K area. Just, you know, you have to kind of get in there and sculpt it a little bit and just try and create some separation. It's a really good mix. It's very exciting because of that area, but at times it just gets a little tiny bit exhausting around that. The other thing is, and I think that came up a lot, was that kick. It's like that artificial kick is cool, and it's good that it's modern, but just bring it down a bit. Just tuck it down, maybe use a little bit more of the natural kick and a little less of a sample in there, and I think it will be great. But don't get me wrong, this is a really exciting mix. It's really quite fantastic.
The mic's going like in and out like... So I don't know if it's that, but here, just take that.
We're swapping mics. Swapping mics. So hopefully you got all of that. Your congestion, the master detail. What about separation between bass and kick? Yeah, I think again, I mean the kick was sitting on top of the track at least 1.5 dB too much. So I think when you bring that down, you'll get a better idea of where the bass sits. What's really, really important, we talked about this earlier. The thing is with the sample, and when you use multiple kick mics, is you can get a build-up quite nastily around about 100 and 110. It's not an area you want to boost too much in a kick drum unless you shelve your bass either below it or way above it, neither of which I'm a big fan of unless I'm doing like synth pop music and I want a fat bass. I won't really go. So what I'll tend to do is like bring that, once you bring that kick drum down, I think you'll find that you'll want to maybe put, you know, get the high passing on that bass guitar so it just creates some space in between those two instruments. But on the whole, I thought the mix was pretty darn good. Once the kick comes down, once there's a bit of clarity created in the high mids of the 3 to 5, everything else will be re-evaluated. You'll find that a lot of problems that you hear in mixes, you have to get to the root of the cause, solve that, and then lots of those other little detailed things suddenly don't matter anymore because they've been solved because they were causing other problems. That's a big thing about mixing. For the 561 people that are listening left here, I think it's really, really important for us to remember you know, it's really important for us to remember that you've got to find the overall global reason why these things are happening and then sort of take it from there. All right, fantastic. What a wonderful, wonderful time. Who won that last giveaway?
I'll post the video right now.
So,
Dodger.
who, sorry?
Groove Dodger.
Oh, Groove Dodger. Wow. Good job. Groove Dodger had some great comments as well. Okay, have a marvelous time. If you're not a member of the Academy yet, please join. This is an incredible group of people. We'll see you back very, very soon. Have a marvelous time recording and mixing. And this has just been a wonderful time. Happy New Year. Thank you ever so much for everybody watching. I really, really appreciate it. And we'll speak to you all again very, very soon. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen.